Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ailil. I think I'm saying that right. Ailil? Ailil? I'm going to go with Ailil. That's just what it seems like to me. So we're going to be looking at him today and how he can be used in this game. Is he good? Is he not? We'll see. I think there's some ways to use him, and I don't think he's a trash champion, but he's definitely on the weaker side as far as a damage dealer, an Arena Nuker for your squad. So you have to think a little bit outside the box to really utilize him, but I think if you can do that, you can be pretty successful. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, first let's start off with Ailil's skill, and he has some unique skills in his kit. This is the reason why I'm actually kind of excited to play around with this guy. I don't think I will actually use him on my account, so he's not going to be great for you, but there are some things in here that are pretty nice to get. So as A1, it's a steal. Now, this is a pretty awesome skill because this effect cannot be resisted. Now, it's only on the first time you attack somebody. So if you're attacking the same person over and over and over again, you're not going to be able to steal buffs. In fact, if you fight an Ultimate Death Knight, you're going to be in a world of hurt because you're only going to be able to steal Ultimate Death Knight's buffs once, and then after that, every single target hit is just going to be redirected. So he's kind of a hard counter to this champion, which is unfortunate. Now, and every other time, right, if no buffs will be stolen, but the damage is increased by 10% for each buff on the target. It doesn't really seem to make much of a difference. He can hit decently hard with this skill, especially if there's a lot of buffs on the enemy. But, you know, those buffs also make it harder to kill somebody, right? Ally protection, strength, and increased defense. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there on that one. Still, the stealing without needing accuracy is insanely good. His A2 also is really good, I think. It ignores strength and stone skin, increased defense, and ally protection buff. And if this attack kills an enemy, fully heals his champion, places a stone skin buff on him for 1 turn. Now, here's the problem with this skill. Even though it says it ignores stone skin, it doesn't ignore stone skin's shield. So, in my opinion, it's not actually ignoring stone skin, which is problematic. But I think that's the biggest negative with this. If this really ignored stone skin, as if it was not there at all, shield and all, this would be a much, much better skill, right? All of a sudden now we can try to one-shot enemies, or at least, you know, take their health down considerably, even with the stone skin buff on. But as it is, that's absolutely just not the case. One of the cool things, though, this does seem to ignore ally protection, does seem to ignore increased defense and strengthen. It does hit decently hard. It's not the hardest hitting skill in the world, so you're not going to be one-shotting every Duchess out there, but you can do some pretty significant damage. And that's actually really nice. And when you kill somebody, you get the stone skin buff, which I've had happen a few times, and that's actually not too bad. For single target skill to be able to protect you immediately after, that's actually pretty nice little bonus there. His A3, I actually really like this one a lot. It's an AoE skill. If they have increased defense, replaces it with decreased defense. They have strengthen, replaces it with weaken, and will put block buffs on enemies not under increased defense or strengthen before attacking. So there's some really cool things right there, right? Like block buffs, I think, is an incredibly powerful skill in Arena. It hard counters a lot of the champions that we try to use, like Siphi or Valkyrie. But it's also, you know, it's pretty darn good. Now, the cool part about this, the buff removal and debuff placement cannot be resisted. So again, you don't need any accuracy on this champion to make them work, and that's one of the best parts about this. The negative parts about this, right? Obviously, if you have block buffs, block debuffs on your champions, this is not going to work, right? You can't steal increased defense and replace it with decreased defense if they can't have debuffs on, right? And so it doesn't go through that. If it went through that, this skill would be so much better, and I think much more viable in Arena. This would then be pretty much a hard counter to Siphi teams, I think. But that's not the case, and it's unfortunate, quite frankly. As it is, it's still a pretty solid skill. The fact that it books to a 3-turn cooldown is nice. Again, I think this is actually a go second champion, a defense-based champion. So if you do that, the low cooldown actually comes into play considerably more often and has a lot more benefits to it. So that's one of the things I actually like about this. It's not perfect, right? It's definitely not a perfect skill. But, you know, if you do go first, this can also be beneficial because you can get that block buffs out initially, kind of like we do with somebody like Gerbtuck. Obviously, it's an attack, and he doesn't hit hard enough to one-shot the enemy. So there's pros and cons. If he could one-shot enemies, that'd be great. The skill would be a lot better, but he doesn't. He's really kind of in it for the long haul. So I would use him more in a defensive type of, like a go second style team, and I think he's going to be more effective there. Now, his passive ability increases champions' HP and defense by 2,100 respectively for each 1,000 attack they have, which is nice, right? We're getting extra bonus, sustained skills just by building him for damage. So it allows us to actually build him full damage, which is really nice. Also fills his champion's turn meter by 10% whenever they receive a buff. So he does have some abilities. He's going to start kind of going. You can build him slower. You can build him more attack heavy, and he's going to get turn meter boosts. He's going to get, a bunch of, sustained skills too. And that's going to be helpful. Also, he has one of the strongest crit rate auras in this game at 25% in all battles. So that is really nice also. So not a bad kit. Now, the way I geared mine out is in Savage set, full-on Savage set. I've been farming, artifacts as best I could, but it is very hard to find good artifacts, so that's definitely a negative. Now, as far as his stats go, you can see 265 crit damage, 180 speed, 5,800 attack. Now, plat level, these are very low stats, right? I think for many of you out there, this is probably really high stats. So this should hopefully give you kind of a balanced view. But I am going against plat level defenses. So, we're going to be a little bit underpowered. Definitely would prefer to have higher stats, higher damage numbers on there, and it would be better for us. Mastery-wise, we did go down offensive tree, down the Helm Smasher, and otherwise just the defensive tree. Now, I can show him in a couple different teams in Arena here, and I think this should give you kind of an idea of how you might want to go about using him. We'll try with a go first team. We'll try him with a go second team. So you can see a couple different ways where, where he is good and where he's not good. I really appreciate you coming by to watch this video, and if you enjoy it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that Soundstripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, along with my code DeadwoodJedi to save yourself 15%. And of course, if you're looking for account work, you can find that on my website, deadwoodjedi.com. So typically I run, Siphi, Kymar, Soulless, and a warlord in there to reset cooldowns, that type of thing. But in this, because he's an attack-based champion, I'm going to bring an Arbiter to give us the attack buff, and we'll see how well we do. We can do this again, and I can bring in Madame Saris and see how that works. But this way we'll get our increased attack buff, which is good. Now, I do need Siphi just to make sure that we can block all the debuffs out there, especially from Tormund. But there you go. All right, now we can come in, and this is one of the good things. If you go first, go fast, you can bring him in, have him deal damage, and put up that block buffs ability, right? Like that. Now we don't have to worry about their, any of these champions, right? Really buffing them out and making it difficult for them, for our team. We can just kind of go through as it is, and we don't have to worry about that. Then we got Kymar here to reset, but you can see we didn't kill everybody. My Soulless would kill everybody or come close to it. We did not have that happen, and that is the negative with this champion. He just does not hit hard enough to really make that happen here. But again, we can come in with it again. We're able to take one person down, and that's about it. So there's limitations to how good he is. And one of the big ones is he just doesn't do crazy damage, and it's a bit disappointing. Obviously, like, we wish he would hit harder, because then his usefulness would be much clearer, be much more obvious how you're supposed to use this guy. But as it is, that's just not the case. So that's kind of the negative with him. Now, the positive, there's a few, right? Like, obviously he's getting a lot of debuffs out there, so we're able to kind of CC the enemy pretty consistently, which I think is actually pretty nice here. We can just take down that guy. Boom, A1, easy peasy, right? More turn meter boosts. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just not the best. We'll see his A2 here in a, yep, okay, good. We'll see his A2 here. So, A1, he steals things. So getting him with like things like counterattack is actually pretty nice, I have to say. It's not a bad thing to have happen at all. We got the A2. We can go ahead and try to take down Mortal Macabre here. You can see, pretty solid hit, right? 73k, it's not bad. And we get the stone skin afterwards, which I really like. So there's definitely some positives with him, right? And that A3 does decent damage. It's just the A3, the AoE is not a killer, and the A2 isn't strong enough. If ignored you know, a portion of defense or something like that, it would be much, much stronger, much better, but it just doesn't do that, and that's problematic, unfortunately. So yeah, solid champion, nothing crazy, right? But definitely you can use him as your nuker for Arena if you want to. But as you can see, we weren't one-shotting anything, so it took us a little bit of time to get there. Okay, this time we'll take out Sify, we don't have to worry about Torment, and I'll go ahead and bring in Madame Ceres, and we'll see exactly what kind of damage he can do with the decreased defense, with the increased attack. This is Hell Hades' team, so obviously strong, no doubts about that. We get the sleep, we get the speed boost. Go ahead and put out the decreased defense, and then we can come in with that big A3 here. I mean, we killed Madame Ceres, but that's it. This is what I mean. It's not a crazy ability, unfortunately. Like, I wish it was much stronger, and it's just not. And that's kind of just the reality of the situation with it, right? Not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not the strongest skill either. And that's the disappointing part with it, I suppose you'd say. So we can go ahead. Let's try and steal some skills. Oh boy, we just got true feared as a group. A little unfortunate. But that's all right. And drop that decreased defense again. Drop some sleep, maybe not. And we'll see if we can't finish them off. Now, you see all this ally protection stuff. I can come in with the A2 here and just ignore it, right? And take him out. That's pretty nice, right? This is kind of a bit of a counter to somebody like Necrit the Great, who does a lot of ally attack stuff and can be really problematic to deal with. Because of that, it's not a bad skill at all, and actually pretty effective, I would say. And so then we can come in. Now, maybe I just want to steal his shield. There's options here as far as how I want to do this, but we'll just come in with the big A3, see what he does, and he's able to take it down, 70k on that. So I think with decreased defense, if you can build like a more traditional go first team, increased attack, decreased defense, I feel like he's pretty effective in those types of teams. It's gonna be when, you know, that's not the case. Now I'm gonna show you this Ailil team right here. She has ultimate Death Knight, and this is definitely gonna be a hard counter, unfortunately, to his skills. She becomes really problematic. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in this team. Basically, it's kind of my anti-hegemon team. Most of these are in immunity. Elva's in Stone Skin. She should go first ahead of our fella here, and this should give us a pretty good attempt here to see how this works. So let's see if we can't make this work for us. But ultimate Death Knight's going to be a big problem. So you can see we got a turn meter boost. We do go first. That's thanks to Molly right there. And we can go ahead and provoke them, which is really nice, actually. And then we're going to go ahead and cleanse that decrease attack ability. Boom. And we're good to go. So now at this point, this becomes a trick, right? We can A1 and try and steal that Stone Skin. We can A2 and try and hit through it. But in any case, it's not going to work the way we want it to. So look, I'll take the A1. Now remember, this should steal all buffs, right? And it cannot be resisted. Let's see if we can steal the Stone Skin. It's a normal hit. It's not a crit. It's a normal hit. That's reaction gear. Apparently it blocks Stone Skin. Steel. Blocks the steel, period. That seems problematic. All right, let's try this one more time so we can see this again. Okay, so we're going against Ailil's team again, right? Even with that Hegemon, we should be able to counter it, right? We get that turn meter boost. Get from Molly. There we go. We can provoke. Excellent. And then Elva's going to go ahead and cleanse. Perfect. Now, if we go A2 here, this is the problem. We go A2. It's not going to ignore any of that stuff, right? It's definitely not going to ignore Strength and Stone Skin or any of that. And we can actually show you here on Ultimate Death Knight. Boom. I mean, the Stone Skin got removed because we killed the shield, but that's it. It didn't do any damage to Ultimate Death Knight. So that to me doesn't sound like ignoring it, right? If we're still dealing with the shield, then what's really the difference? I don't see much of it. So that seems to me to be very problematic. If you're building someone to actually ignore it, it should ignore it. And that's one of the big issues with this champion here. I'm gonna kind of keep going for a little bit because I want to show you guys one of the other major issues. And I don't know if this is a bug or what, but it's kind of interesting how the attacks are being redirected by Ultimate Death Knight here. And I'm finding it very problematic. So this A1, I guess we could, shoot, I need them to do something else actually. So that's less good. We're gonna go A1 on Ultimate Death Knight. Now, obviously there's no buffs I can actually steal, and that's why I'm saying there's a little bit of a problem here with this. But I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about as far as this goes, why there's a bit of an issue here. So, now remember that A1, first time it's used on any champion, it will pull in, it will steal all the debuffs with, and there's no chance for that not to be the case, right? Always will steal the buffs no matter what. So let's bring him back. Perfect. Hopefully he takes a turn. Of course, sleeps him. Of course, sleeps him. Just need him to take one turn here. Just one. Okay. Okay. No, please. Okay. Okay. A1. And now they have no buffs. I hate this game. Okay, good. A1. I can take on Magnar here with this A1, and I should steal all these buffs. But watch what happens as it gets redirected by Ultimate Death Knight. Boom. Target changes, and so I don't actually steal any of the buffs whatsoever. This is why Ultimate Death Knight's a pretty hard counter, because I can't steal any of the buffs even when I'm A1ing somebody else, right? And so that's definitely annoying and a bit problematic. Maybe that's just a great counterpoint, right? I don't know that that's something necessarily needs to be fixed at all, but that is going to be one of the biggest downsides to this champion. His ability to steal buffs without having any accuracy is massive, but it doesn't matter if the target's getting changed on you. So that's definitely one of the issues with him. But in general, I actually like him. I think he's actually got some solid potential. So we can take a team like this, which is a pure speed build type of team, and I think I should actually be able to run this almost full auto here, right? We just basically speed up past the enemy, line everything up, and hopefully can do enough damage to kill him. Now, all those turn meter boosts we got, Madame Saris definitely is faster, like maybe 40 speed faster, and we jumped way ahead because of the turn meter boost from the passive ability. So really don't need to build any speed on this champion. It can be really effective. So that might be, you know, one alternative thing to build him a little bit stronger, and I think that could be pretty helpful. But we can come in with that A3 like usual. Does pretty good damage. I mean, it's pretty good, you know? It's not, I wouldn't say it's like game changing necessarily, but that's pretty good right there. I definitely like that skill and ability. I feel like there is a ton of potential with that. So yeah, I mean, he's not bad at all. Not the best champion in the world, but he's not bad, and I feel like there is a lot to like about him. So that's, you know, something to kind of keep in mind as you're working on this. But yeah, we can go ahead. I think he should be able to go auto here. He's going to start stealing some buffs that are out there, assuming that we actually take some more turns. This enemy team is pretty, you know, disgusting too. So could be a little bit difficult, but he's going to start doing his A1 thing here and stealing some buffs, which is very effective, I have to say. So one of the things I would love to see him is like in a counterattack type of team. I feel like there's definitely some potential there with it, but I don't know that that's as strong as just building pure damage. I think that really is the way to go. And I think in future, I'd probably, you know, fully build him out and attack, really try and juice the numbers as much as possible. Yeah, it was pretty effective right there. I didn't even need the A1, right? Just going in, doing big damage stuff. It's a way to go. Should be able to finish off Torment right there. Yeah. Hey, we see somebody with an actual full. We have a couple of these champions in here also, so this would be an interesting test. We can kind of see what we're like against ourselves, so to speak. Got that. There we go. See if we can't do any fun stuff here. Being able to block buffs, like I said, that can be a real game changer if you can make that work. So it's one of those things that I definitely like as far as being able to put that out there and do good work. Elva's a really great champion because she can cleanse and then places a block debuffs, which is actually really nice. So the nice alternative champion right there with that. But we can go ahead and just do some fun stuff ourselves. Taken down with here, it could be pretty interesting. Boom. And now we have this A2 ability, right? Single target, just plow through one champion, right? Who do we want to do? Let's try Elva. Boom. Knocked out. Not too difficult, really. And, you know, it all depends on what level of the game you're at. Obviously, you know, my stats are not going to be the same as somebody like Scratch's, who's got really high arena endgame account. But it's strong enough to be able to take down, you know, people of about my level of skill. And so now we can do this again, right? Whose buffs do I want to steal? Do I want to steal his? That's not a bad idea. Get the continuous heal. But I can come over here. I think I'm going to take those. And even with the Mithrala, who has insane amounts of resistance, doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to steal those buffs without any issue. And I think that kind of shows the benefit of this champion, right? What they can really do here. So not too shabby. I'll just click auto here and let it run. Just kind of see how it goes. If we get an A3, you'll see that strengthen, the increased defense. Look at that. All of a sudden now they have decreased defense. They got weakened, and that just made us way, way, way better here as far as, you know, utilizing those skills. Hopefully we can get, yep, and they're done. That's it. That's easy. So there's definitely some positives with this champion. I think it really comes down to, you know, where you're going to use them, how you're going to use them. So, like, obviously he's a kind of an arena-based champion, but the real question is he going to be better or worse than a lot of the other champions that might be out there? I think as a pure damage dealer, he's going to be a little bit on the lower side, right? On the worst side of things, but he does bring some utility. And for a lot of you guys that are struggling in arena or coming up, even maybe in 3v3, I can actually see him being pretty useful building a go second team around this kind of a kit, because there is some good stuff there. Being able to remove decreased defense and weaken, no accuracy needed. Being able to ignore ally protection, right? With the single target hit, that's really nice too. Being able to steal the buffs to the enemy, it's really good. So there's definitely some good things about this kit. It's just not a perfect team, right? It's not a perfect champion because he doesn't do as much damage as, you know, the high-end damage dealers that we have. So if you have an end game account, you might not use him at all. But I think everybody else, you're gonna find a pretty good usage for this guy. So he's pretty good. If you get him, I'd be happy about it. So Ailil, is he good? Is he not? I actually like this champion. I think there's a lot of potential for him. I think he's actually going to be good for us to have in this game. He's not going to be used everywhere, and I do feel like they do need to fix the kit, especially when it comes to Stone Skin. Just stealing the shield, or like hitting the shield, is not enough. The fact that he doesn't steal it with his A1 as well is problematic. So I think those are the two things that need to get fixed, right? That is a buff, and it should be able to be stolen, and that shield, it should be ignored when you're using that A2 skill. If they fix those two things, I think this guy actually has a lot better place in the game. Obviously, he doesn't hit as hard as we'd like, and so I definitely feel like there is some, you know, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of people that hate this champion. Quite frankly, I'm not going to be among them because I like the utility that he brings, and he brings some different stuff to the game, and I think that's kind of interesting. And building a team around him, around that, is pretty interesting and fun to do. So definitely not a trash champion, but he's not really the game changer we had hoped he would be either. We were hoping that he might change the Stone Skin meta. That's not going to be the case, at least not until they fix parts of his kit, right? And make that A2 a much stronger skill, which it should be, being a single target ability. And so I think if they do those things, make that A2 hit harder, make it really ignore Stone Skin, make the A1 be able to steal Stone Skin. I think if we do those three things, all of a sudden this champion has a lot more utility in this game. As it is, for people that are early in this game, he's probably going to be one of the easiest damage dealers to build. You don't need speed because of his passive ability when he gets buffs. You don't need HP and defense because of his passive ability. When you build attack, it helps those stats out. Not to be ignored, but it definitely helps that a lot. And you don't need accuracy on him, so you can really focus on building him with attack. So in that sense, I think this is a really good starter attack champion that's going to be really good in a lot of areas for arena for a lot of people out there in the game. So anyway, that's the champion. That's the video. That's the guide. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys, made you look at him maybe a little bit differently, because I know a lot of people were disappointed with him. He's actually not that bad. I think that maybe we're a little bit too hard on him. Maybe not endgame, right? Most of you that have endgame accounts, you're not going to be using him a lot, at least not until his kit gets, you know, fixed. But yeah, I think there's some potential to him. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.